What do you think that ketones are really delivering for endurance athletes?
It's interesting for endurance because you're basically inducing hypoxia, where when you're running really hard or biking really hard, you're getting out of breath. Like you're reducing over time. You're not at full oxygenation level. Your body's getting tired. You're not getting enough oxygen to everything. So you're basically inducing hypoxia, which is the exact same thing that is happening when you're at altitude. Altitude is just like an outside factor that directly reduces the amount of oxygen you have available. But yeah, like if you're panting, if you're out of breath, like you're getting less oxygen than your body wishes that it had. We're also seeing some other interesting effects with cyclists and runners. I mean, I don't think there's a meaningful difference like parse between cycling versus running versus it's all like endurance.
Sure.
We're seeing something really interesting with not just in the performance context, but also in the recovery context, where there's such a thing as overtraining, where if anyone's ever gotten to like a certain level of sports where you're training for an Ironman, or you're a serious college athlete, or you're just really into CrossFit or whatever, and you're doing it all the time every day, there's such a thing as overtraining where it backfires, where you basically like train so hard that your body like flips on this like stress mode where you actually get reduced appetite, and it's counterproductive because you're training so hard that your body's not getting enough time to recover. So you're not able to go and do it again the next day. That becomes a really important factor when you look at something like the Tour de France or military missions, where it's not just that you're running a marathon, it's that you're running a marathon like every day for 21 days. In the Tour de France, you're biking. It's 3 weeks long. It's actually coming up in a month here in July. We're doing a ton of work with our teams. We're doing partnerships with great cyclists and doing some interesting stuff. I'm actually flying out to Colorado in a month and linking up with Lance and some of the former USPS, United States Parcel Service, like the GOAT like team from back in the day. There's this really interesting study done around cycling. This is part of why cyclists are so particularly interested in this, is that there was a study done a few years ago by this Belgian researcher where they showed that, okay, we know that when you overtrain, it is counterproductive. They had two groups of participants. One had ketones, the other did not. They had the participants biking twice a day for 3 weeks. So it was meant to simulate Tour de France conditions. And one of the groups had ketones, the other did not. Aside from that, they were able to eat ad libitum, so as much as they wanted of anything else. And what they saw over that course of 3 weeks is that by week 3, the ketone group had a 15% higher training load and also had a 5% increase in final time trial performance. So, and then when they looked further into it, they were seeing that the ketone group was having less symptoms of that overreaching, overtraining, that basically ketones were helping people to recover faster. So not just drinking it and acutely, immediately helping performance, but when they were having it 3 times a day, mixed around with their training, and then training every single day, they had less of, there's a few hormones that are indicative of overtraining that you can measure, GPT-15, and it shows that you're overtraining. In the ketone group, they had less of that. And then on the actual performance, the cyclists that were having the ketones were just performing better. So it's really interesting. This is where it starts having some interesting dimensions to it, where it's not just ketones as a source of energy, it's also ketones as signaling. It's basically signaling to your body to activate a parasympathetic rest and recovery mode, and it's helping people to recover better. There's a few other interesting studies that have been done around this, where ketones, if you have ketones with your post-workout protein, that you increase muscle protein resynthesis. So if you work out really hard, you get a lot of micro tears in your muscles. You go and drink protein. The idea is like rebuild the muscle bigger and stronger. If you have ketones with that protein, you accelerate the rate of muscle protein resynthesis. So basically, today's recovery is tomorrow's performance. That like you're able to do better today. You're able to recover better today and then go out and do it again tomorrow. So that is a angle to ketones that people are getting really interested in, even more so than just the acute performance, but the more like chronic. Hey, if I'm spending more time with elevated ketone levels, seems like my body's like recovering, bouncing back faster. So a lot of interesting stuff there. A lot of interesting stuff with cycling in particular. I think cycling is just, it happens to be the tip of the spear because I think cyclists are kind of nutso. Like I say this as a cyclist, like uh, they're very dialed in on their nutrition and their wattage per kilogram,
Hmm.
and so they tend to be much more dialed in on like performance specifically than, a basketball player cares about this, but like they also care about 16 other things: court IQ, ball handling, teamwork. Like they care about a lot of other things. But cyclists tend to be really, really dialed in on like just abject performance, and so it's been an interesting test group for us.